Hey you, welcome to Selfish Me. I'm Cam, a business psychologist and a proud late bloomer who finally stopped living by everyone else's rules. And this is your space to pause, reconnect, and build a life that feels true to you. Because putting yourself first isn't selfish, it's powerful. Hello, you. Thank you for pressing play today. I want to talk about something that might really resonate with you. What's your relationship with yourself? Yes, that relationship. Do you trust yourself enough to show up fully as who you are? I am asking because for a long time I didn't. I spent so much of my life trying to fit in, trying to be accepted, trying to feel like I belong. And the truth is, that feeling didn't start when I moved abroad. It was already back home in Poland. Growing up, I often felt like the way I thought, the way I wanted to show up, wasn't quite what others wanted to see or hear. And I would hear things like, you're being difficult. You are trying to be different. Why you always have so many questions? Why are you questioning everything? You have way too many opinions. Well, the list is very long. But to be honest, I wasn't trying to be any of those things. Definitely not difficult. I was just trying to figure out who I was. So when in my 20s, I moved to the UK, I thought I have a fresh start. I was thinking I'm living in London now, where my neighbors aren't reporting back to my parents on every single move I make. I am independent, I have my place to live, and I'm making money. So I feel like I have a little bit more freedom to explore who I am. But very quickly, another layer appeared to me, which was cultural differences. What would be considered a straightforward conversation in Poland suddenly was seen as blunt or even rude. And that was confusing to me. Because once again, I felt like I had to edit myself, soften my words, question my instinct, second guess how I would show up. And that started to affect how I saw myself at work. And keep in mind, I was just entering my professional career. And what it felt like back then, it felt like it was easier to copy what others were doing. Because from the outside, they looked successful, they looked happy. So I conformed and I tried to fit in. It wasn't that I was faking to be someone else the whole time. I didn't really know how to be this grown up person. When on the inside, I still felt like a teenager, to be honest, and a little bit lost. And I wasn't having many open and honest conversations with my friends about how I was actually feeling or how they were feeling. I think we were on the same boat, the same motto in our head: fake it until you make it. Maybe not the most helpful thing, but that's how our 20s looked like. And let's be honest about our 20s. It's a rough time. So much is expected us in our 20s. From the moment we go to universities or we finish high school, whatever that is, there's so much expectations of what we're supposed to be and the timelines that we're supposed to hit, the milestones in our lives. It's quite a lot. And we know what others expect from us and what we should do. But do we know what we want, what we desire? I think those things get lost, and they definitely got lost for me. I felt confused. I wasn't sure who I was or who I meant to be, and I crossed many boundaries that I didn't even know how to define them. I didn't really understand what a healthy boundary was back then. I was just overwhelmed by adulthood, by expectations, by trying to be me in the world that kept handling me versions of who I was supposed to be. I felt like everyone had a version of me in their mind, everyone except me. And that's why today I want to talk about self-trust. How learning to trust yourself can deepen your relationship with yourself and help you show up in the world with confidence and authenticity. Because trusting yourself is the foundation of all the relationship you're going to have in your life. It starts with a self-trust because then you can show up as the person you want to be. But before we go any further here, I want us to pause here together. So whatever you are right now, ground yourself. Take the deepest breath you have taken all day. Inhale through your nose and exhale through your mouth. Let your shoulders drop. Let your jaw soften. I have 3 questions for you. You ready? Okay, let's start. Question number 1. Think of a recent moment that didn't sit right with you. How did your body respond? Was it a tightness in your chest, a knot in your stomach, or maybe heaviness in your shoulders? Question number 2. What emotions were part of that moment? Maybe discomfort, guilt, frustration, confusion? And did you allow yourself to acknowledge those feelings, or did you push it away to keep the peace? Question number 3. If you had shown up a little more for yourself in that moment, what might that have looked like or felt like? Maybe it was speaking up, setting a boundary, taking space, or simply listening to your own needs. As always, just sit and see what comes up for you. And if any of those questions brought up anything for you, like a memory or sensation, a feeling, perhaps even a painful one, take a moment to acknowledge and practice self-compassion. Remember that you did the best you could with the resources you had at that time. What we know now is that the way we are shaped as humans is driven by nature and nurture. Nature is our DNA and nurture is the surroundings that we grow up in. And today I want to focus on the nurture part. The message we absorb, the roles we are encouraged to step in, and how those expectations quietly shape the way we relate to ourselves. Let me explain that a little bit more. From a very young age, women are thought to be nurturing, caretaking, and self-sacrificing. Little girls are praised for being good, for following the rules, for putting others first, for staying quiet, and not taking too much space. And over time, that praise turns into expectation. Be agreeable, be accommodating, be pleasing. And I'll be honest, I hate the term good girl. I really hate it. Because what we are really praising isn't character, it's compliance. And I know so many women who describe themselves as people pleasers. And honestly, I'm not surprised. That's how many of us were socialized to survive, to belong, and to be liked. And research backed this up. A study done by University of Toronto in 2025 has shown that girls, on average, are more likely to follow instructions exactly as they are given, even when those instructions are wrong. While boys are more encouraged to explore, experiment, and challenge what they've been taught. Girls learn early that listening, complying, and getting it right leads to praise and success, especially in school. And that works academically. It helps explain why girls often outperform boys in education and why more women earn university degrees. But here's the problem. Success in the workplace, and honestly in life, often requires something very different. Advocating for yourself, challenging ideas, trusting your instincts, and championing your own voice. And those are behaviors we are far less likely to encourage in girls and far more likely to punish in women. So if I go back to my early years, every time I was challenging the idea, I was labeled as being difficult. Or if I was speaking, advocating for myself, then I was considered being arrogant and I should be more humble. So as you can see it, the way I was showing up, it just wasn't fitting expectations of a girl. And I wonder if you can relate to that. No wonder so many of us are identifying as people pleasers. Because if you type people pleasing into a search bar, you will find countless articles, books, podcasts. Almost all of them are talking about us, women. And this is not coincidence. Because guess what happens when we are not showing up and we are not showing the behaviors such as caretaking, self-sacrificing for others that are assigned to our gender? Research done in China in 2021 found that women who do not conform to gender stereotypes face interpersonal rejection and are perceived as interpersonally deficient or insufficiently nice. This makes me angry because that's all we have to be, nice, right? Counter-stereotypical women are negatively evaluated at work. This creates a painful dilemma for us. Do we conform to gain belonging, Or do we continue being authentic and risk rejection? So what I have been doing by accident or because of the nurture part, and guessing some of you too, is accepting the assigned gender behaviors as a template to be me, to be a woman. There is actually a psychological term for that, and it's called self-stereotyping. In simple terms, self-stereotyping is what happens when we start describing ourselves using the stereotypes of the group we belong to. And over time, those stereotypes don't just set out there in the society, but we slowly absorb them and build them into our sense of self. And this doesn't only happen to people in stigmatized groups. It happens to everyone. Whenever a group is marginalized or privileged, we all internalize ideas what someone like us is supposed to be like. Psychologists explain this through something called self-categorization theory. Basically, once we identify strongly with a group, whether that's gender, culture, profession, or social role, we unconsciously adjust our attitudes and behaviors to match what's considered normal or acceptable within that group. And here where it gets really powerful. The moment we classify ourselves as a part of a group, we also activate that group's stereotypes. Those stereotypes then start acting like invisible rules, shaping how we think, how we should behave, what traits we should show, and even what choices feel available to us. When it comes to gender, these stereotypes often become identity norms. They influence how we see ourselves and how we present ourselves to the world, sometimes without even realizing. Like I said before, for many of us as women, we grow up internalizing messages about being caring, gentle, family-oriented. Well, the list is long. And I'm sure you have specific behaviors or traits that you're supposed to show up wherever you grow up. Now, the issue is when these norms are so deeply integrated that they stop feeling like choices and start feeling like expectations. When stepping outside them feels risky. When being different feels like you're doing something wrong. That's self-stereotyping at work. And once we start living from those internalized scripts, trusting ourselves becomes harder. Because our sense of self has been shaped more by what's expected of us than by what actually feels true to us. And research shows that when women consistently focus on pleasing others, a disconnect begins to form between the true self and the version of themselves they present to the world. The more pleasing we do, ladies, the more distant we become from ourselves. Over time, we stop knowing what we actually like, what we believe, and what we value. Not because those things were never there, by the way, but because so much of our energy went into being what society expects us to be, into becoming who we thought we should be, rather than who we are. And when you live like that for far too long, trusting yourself starts to feel unfamiliar, even scary, because somewhere along the way you were taught, sometimes loudly, sometimes quietly, that your needs come second, that your instincts are inconvenient, that your voice is something to manage rather than follow. And the result isn't just exhaustion, it's disconnection. Disconnections from your body, from your intuition, from yourself. And that's the part we don't talk about enough. How the society, how the world around us are part of influence how we show up in our relationships, and most importantly, how we show up for ourselves. Today, I want to say this clearly. If you lost your sense of self at some point, you are not alone. I've been there too, along with so many incredible women I know. I want to share something with you that really helped me, and I've used as a toolkit to rebuild my internal compass. It's called Braving Model, and it's created by Brené Brown. She talks about it in her book about belonging. I'll put that in the notes if you want to read the book. And what I did back in the day is I actually wrote the Braving Model on my white wardrobe with a marker. I thought this is a perfect spot because I was so lost. I need something visual right in front of me every day so I can use that to check within myself. I need a reminder that it's okay to trust yourself. And I need something to help me understand what was the reason that something felt off inside of my body. I want to understand the feelings, the tensions, what was happening inside. And I want to have like almost a self-talk with myself before I was able to talk about it with others. So before we go into the toolkit, I want to invite you back to your reflections we did at the start of this conversation. Take a moment and just think, what was the situation you thought about it? How you felt? What emotion came up for you? Because this toolkit I'm going to share with you is a set of self-reflection questions that would help you identify what was off, and you can use that to cross-correct in going forward. My hope is that what I am about to share with you will help you understand why that moment didn't sit right with you, why you felt misaligned, or why you might have walked away feeling disconnected from yourself. So think about braving as a self-trust toolkit, as a gentle check-in with yourself. Not a test, not a score, okay? Just lean with your curiosity. Allow to listen to your body. All right, I hope you are ready. And let's start. B stands for boundaries. The questions I want you to reflect here is, do I respect my own boundaries? Am I clear about what's okay and what's not okay for me? Or do I keep negotiating with myself to make others comfortable? R is for reliability. Can I count on myself? Do I keep the commitments I make to myself, even small ones like taking 5 minutes to have a cup of tea in the morning? A is for accountability. Do I hold myself accountable with compassion? Can I own my mistake and even apologize to myself when I abandoned my own needs? V stands for valid. Do I keep my own confidence? Do I honor my story? Or do I overshare parts of myself before I'm truly ready? I stands for integrity. Do I act in alignment with my values? Do I choose courage over comfort in my own life, especially when no one is watching? N stands for non-judgment. Can I ask myself for what I need without shame or self-criticism? Am I able to be kind to myself in the moments when I'm struggling? And finally, we have G, generosity. Am I generous with myself? Do I give myself the benefit of doubt? Or am I my harshest critic? And this is braving, ladies. It's a set of very simple yet powerful questions that help you rebuild trust with yourself. Because if we trust ourselves, we can show up as ourselves without fearing of being rejected, but staying true to ourselves, to our values, and the way we want to show up rather than what others expect us to be. Now, as we wrap up, I want to remind you this. Self-trust isn't about something you either have or don't have. It's something you practice in a small moment, in quiet choices, in how you speak to yourself when no one else listening. If anything from today stayed with you, take it with you gently. There's no rush to change everything at once. Just start by noticing. Start by choosing yourself, one moment at a time. Okay, until next week. I hope you have a fabulous weekend. Bye. Thank you so much for listening. It honestly means the world to me. If something from today's chat made you smile, think, or feel seen, share it. That's how our Selfish Me community grows. This podcast is about real voices and reminding each other that we are not alone. We are all figuring out how to do life our way, and you are doing better than you think.